welcome to ACMG. Let's go ahead and get started with our next order of business. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over the tile sets and setting those up and how to do collision with a tile set. Now, I am not much of an artist, so I went ahead and took the liberties in taking a tile set from another place so I can use in this example. Now, if you're not an artist either, there are plenty of other resources out there that you can go out and grab some tile sets from. Just make sure you check the usage of it, and make sure, if you have to credit people, make sure you give the right credit and all that kind of stuff. If you're an artist, congratulations, you're amazing, and I wish I had those abilities. But I create blocks, and my blocks are amazing. So, if you don't have a tile set, let's go ahead and grab a sample. In a lot of examples that I've seen, they just type in Zelda here, and the whole game's here, so you can just recreate Zelda if you want. But let's go here, and I'm going to click on a link to a pass, and what this place is spritersresource.com, and you can get all sorts of sprites, you can get tile sets, you can get backgrounds, you can get menu items, whatever you want from here. And I'm going to scroll down to the section where I can get tile sets, and let's click on overworld tiles. No, various BG kits. This one has a lot. And what you do is you just click it, and you can right click and download, or you can scroll down and click on download the sheet, and I already have it, so it's downloaded, but this is what it looks like. And it is a large tile set, but you can create so many things using that. Actually, just using that, you can probably create a Zelda remake. Alright, so back to Game Maker Studio. We can start by creating a background, and the backgrounds actually turn into tile sets when you create them. So I'll show you how to do that. So from here, let's load our background, and click on that awesome tile set sheet that we have. And right from here, this is just a background, and we don't want that. So let's start by naming it tile set. I name them TS, and this will be Zelda. And if you look here, it says use as tile set. Let's check that box. And everything is set up in 16 by 16, which almost is perfect for this. But let's try to mess with these settings, and let's do a 32 by 32, which seems to be close, but I'm not sure if this tile set is actually set up on a grid. So you can mess with these just to check. Looks like 16 by 16 is going to be as close as we can really get to that. And then we're going to set a horizontal offset, which will be how far over is this tile set. And it may not even have one. I'm going to set 1. That looks decent enough. And then the vertical, I'm going to set 1 as well. And it looks like we have something we can work with. Maybe make a little tree. And then we have a separation. And it doesn't look like anything separated, but as you can see, if it was, it would look like that. And it would start to separate things into their little tile sets. But nothing is separated. So once you have that set up, you just click OK, and now you have a tile set. So instead of it being a background, it is a tile set. And in our game room, we're going to go ahead and set this up to work with this tile set. And what you do is you go to Tiles, and look, it's already there. It selected our Zelda tile set, and we can select things to add to the map. Now, what these tile sets are, just imagine like a bathroom tile. You know how they are all put together to make like a wall? That's what this is. So when we make the tile set, it's not actually going to have collision, and I can show you guys that. And that's what the biggest thing that we're going to set up is. Now if you want to select like a whole tree, like if you just drag your mouse, it's not going to select it. So you can hold down shift and drag to the edge that you want, and then you can place this on your map. me see here. Let me go ahead and make sure to remove the background. Well, it's going to keep the white, but normally backgrounds and stuff like that, they are transparent. So let me just see if I can get rid of it real quick. And it's going to be a little blocky. I'll get rid of as much as I can without destroying it. Okay, that's actually really good. Alright, so all I did, like, if you have a background color, so let's say if it's lime green or something, which is really good because most games, hopefully all games, don't use that. What you do is you click on Edit Background, go to Image, and then there's an option here, it's called Erase a Color. You'd click that, you'd select the color you want to erase, and then you just change the tolerance so that it erases it. And then you make sure you hit OK on it. So that'll get rid of the background so that we can use this further in our game without a white background, and I apologize for that. Alright, and it looks like it didn't actually set it up, so I gotta redo this real quick. Yeah, alright. Now, when I add a tree, it'll be transparent on the background, and the reason why these little things are here is because of the way the Tileset's set up, which makes me think that it's set up and ready to go. Yeah, there we go. There's a good example right there. Okay, so let's just add some trees here. And what happens with these is the trees here are on a layer, and the layer here is set to 1 million, so if we were to add another layer and just make it 0, why not? I'm not going to go over my layer tutorial again. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I'm going to delete this 1 million layer, which had those trees on it. I'm just going to recreate this one with layer 0. And as you can see, it layers it for the player. Okay, so if I was to just jump into this game, these trees are not going to have any collision. And if they do, I don't know what I would do. But as you can see, you can walk through them. And the player is underneath this layer. So you can layer all these tile sets to have like depth and all of that. You can really mess with that. There's tutorials on creating a full map using the tile sets and stuff, and that is definitely for another day. But for the sake of this, we're just going to use this one layer and add some simple collision. And so you can see this is on layer 0, and our player is on layer 0 as well. Now if we wanted him to be above those trees, we just make his depth, well, dang it, -1. Make it -1. And start our game, and so he should be walking on top of the trees this time. And so you'd use that for like the grass and the sand and all that stuff. Make sure the player is above it. But for now I'm going to make it 0. And then we are going to create something for the player to run into. And the player itself is solid. So we create another object. We are going to name it object collide. And we're going to create a new sprite for it, SPR collide. And the sprite is going to be a see, it's 16 by 16. So yeah, let's make it 16 by 16. It's going to be this little block here, and we're going to fill it in with a red color. And this will be the collision box that the player would collide with. Keep it at 0, 0. Alright, so it has it is solid, and we're going to do a little bit of code for this object. So if you go into the create event and add a code block, we are going to make sure that this is not visible. So we're going to do image alpha equals 0. And this will ensure that we don't actually see the block in-game and the player collides with it still. So if we go back to our objects and we click on our object collide, and I don't know, let's just make sure he can't collide with the base of it. And if you don't want to see it like this, what you can do is you can make sure the depth on this is 1, and it'll put it underneath the tree. So what this would look like in game is the player should collide with that bottom piece, and then it should that is it. Okay. It didn't work. So we have to set up our player so that when he runs into the collision box, let me make sure how he's moving real quick. Oh, wow, this is the enemy. That's not what I want. I want the player. And when he collides with that, let's make sure P speed equals 0. So drop a code block into there, and stop moving. Alright, so whenever he collides into it, it should stop moving. Okay. And he's stuck on it, so I'm supposed to make him bounce off of it, but we don't want him to. Could set this up more advanced so that when he runs into it, he bounces off a little bit, but that's getting into a little bit more advanced collision, and I was actually going to go over that in the next one. So I'm going to save that whole collision for the next tutorial and just use this one to show the tileset setup, but that is how you would set it up, and then you'd have your collide boxes underneath where you don't want the player to actually touch. And once you have your tileset set up, then you can go back and set up the collisions, or you can do it vice versa, and you can set up your collision boxes to make your map, and then build the map on the collision boxes, which is a really cool thing to do too. Either way you do it, it'll be fine, but I would start off with doing like a layer 0, or a layer -1 or -2, or a layer 1 and 2, and start building out like grass and trees and things like that to make your map a little bit better looking. And if you have your own custom tile set, you'll know how to build it with your tile set. So those artists will be lucky. Alright, so now that you know how to build your tile set, it's super simple, and you can start making your level look a little bit more polished. And in the next tutorial, we're going to go over adding collision to those tile sets, and we're going to make collision for the enemies. So I apologize for trying to get into it and getting ahead of myself, but I thought it would have been cool to just set it up right now, and I realized that it's going to be a little bit longer, so I'll make its own tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I look forward to the next one. See you guys later.